would say if you're starting a business, use all the free resources that you can. Look up in your state and see if they have a free business development center in your area, in your city. That has been immensely helpful. I mean, I know there's different ways you can get help and mentorship, but the way that I went about it was free. The person that's my mentor has had like 30 years of like retail and like owning business experience. So they're like real business owners, and it connects you with other business owners who are small business owners. And so just having a network of people that can help you if you have questions is really helpful.
So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. One of the most successful ways to have a thriving business that you love is number one, to identify what it is that you are wanting to solve as way of a problem for someone else. What's that problem that you want to solve, and how are you going to make that person's life better? That ignition of passion is what is going to help your business to thrive and to help you find success on the days that it will get hard, because it will. It will always get hard. You're going to have hard days. You're going to question why you started. And knowing that why is essential. That is why I built your 5 days to discovering your why. It is for free and at camillewalker.co. On today's episode, we have Courtney Killpack, who is the designer and creator of Bra Fittings by Court, who wanted to help women solve the problem of finding a bra that fits well and makes them feel amazing. And what's really fun about her story is that it was an ignite of a passion I saw in her years and years before when we were in the blogging space together. And I love nothing more than seeing the women in my circle thrive and create incredible businesses that they love. It doesn't mean that it's been easy. So as you're listening to this, I want you to listen to what those keys are for growth and also the times that you know that you need to rest. So let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. I am your host, Camille Walker, and today is a good day because we are talking about boobs with Courtney Killpack, who is the owner of Bra Fittings by Court. And what's really awesome about this is that this is a dream that I have seen Courtney dream about literally over, I think it was a decade ago when we were sitting together in a hotel room. So Courtney, thank you so much for being here today. And I can't wait to let everyone hear your story. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Camille. So I'm Courtney Killpack. I am a mom to 3 young children. I've been married for 16 years and known Camille for the last 10 years. And we used to rub shoulders a lot in the blogging world before we are doing what we're doing now. But yeah, I've always had this dream to open up a professional bra fitting shop in our town. In Layton, Utah, is where I live. And because I feel like there's a huge need for services like this for women. Most women don't know how bras should fit. They don't know where to go to get the size range that they need. But also I really wanted to I wanted the store to be a place where anybody can walk in and find their true size. And then I wanted to specialize in carrying beautiful, fashionable forward things. And because here in Utah, there's not many places that you can go that can carry things from Europe and other places around the country or around the world. So that's what I wanted. And about 5.5 years ago is when I started it in my house, in my small home in the basement in a room. And now 5.5 years later, we have grown a ton and hoping and looking forward to expanding to our first brick and mortar store this next year.
Do you feel like you have a closet full of clothes with nothing to wear, or you go shopping frequently, but you aren't excited about your wardrobe? Well, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor of this episode, Delee Cox, who is a stylist with a passion for helping women curate a wardrobe that they will love for years to come. She will teach you how to define your personal style, create new outfits from old clothes, and create you a shopping list so you can add pieces mindfully. She is about sustainability and creating pieces that mix and match together. And she'll even help you take photos of the outfits that she's helped curate for you, so that when you stand in front of your closet with a blank stare and not knowing what to wear, you can actually pull up that resource of outfits that she'll help put together with you. You can follow her on Instagram at thestylistnextdoor_UT, or check out her website, thestylistnextdoor.net, for details. Mention this podcast and get $25 off any service. Delee has helped hundreds of women, including some of my close friends, and she would love to help you refresh your wardrobe without buying a whole new one. Wow. Now, Courtney's being really humble with this. They have won 2 national awards for independently owned lingerie stores. This is something that I remember when at the time you were doing marketing for a very, very successful blog, Six Sisters Stuff, if you're familiar, and you are amazingly talented in many, many things that you were doing. And I know you helped grow their business a lot. And I remember you sitting at a desk. It was early in the morning. I had actually brought my baby with me. I was nursing a baby at the time. So I was up early, you were up early, and you said, I'm learning a lot. I love this. But at the end of the day, I just want to help people find great bras that make them feel amazing. And I was like, wow, what a unique vision and goal and dream. And from my understanding, if I remember right, you had done bra fittings at Victoria's Secret. Is that right? When you were a teenager or earlier in your 20s?
It wasn't Victoria's Secret. It was Nordstrom. So
Nordstrom.
So I used to work at Nordstrom when I was early years of my college years, and I worked there for almost 4 years. And that's where I first was introduced to this whole industry, learning how sizing works, the difference between UK and US sizing, some of the different brands, and just, I really learned a really good foundation at Nordstrom of how to take care of your customers, really good customer service, and that really gave me a really good starting point as to taking what I learned from Nordstrom and being like, this is what I want. I want to kind of replicate what the Nordstrom experience is like, but then I want to do it on my own terms and my own schedule and carry the things that I want to carry. And I think women in our, community want to see and wear. And just that really helped me get a great foundation of having some experience in that field.
That is so cool. So there's a couple of things I want to tap into here, because I feel like creating something from such a passion, A, is a huge step for success. And B, just knowing, okay, I'm going to start this. I'm going to start it from my home. What was that moment like for you, leaving something that you knew that was bringing in income to now go to your spouse at whatever point and say, I want to open a bra shop and have women come over and try bras on? What was that conversation like?
So when I first had this idea that I wanted to open up a bra shop, the only way I thought of knowing how to do this was to open up a brick and mortar store. And so when I first started getting, because I hadn't started the shop yet, I soon found out how expensive it is to get inventory, to get a brick and mortar store set up. And because I didn't have an experience doing this myself, it was rather risky. I didn't want to go into debt. I didn't want to have to take a loan out. And so I felt like after talking to my spouse, and then I have a mentor that that I've been working with for the last 5.5 years. This is kind of a side note, but in the state of Utah, they have, they're called the Utah Small Business Development Centers, and they have them throughout the state of Utah, and they're free services for small business owners where they can go and get free mentorship, help with anything that they need to help grow, start a business. And it's a great resource that's free. So I started working with them and just talking to my mentor, and then with my husband, it seemed that the best option and the most cost-effective way to start this business, not knowing if it was going to work, if it was going to be successful, was to start small. And that way was to start in my home. And at first it was kind of weird because I'm like, I don't know if people are going to feel comfortable coming to somebody's home. They don't know. How's that going to work? What is that going to look like for my family? So there was definitely some times where it was hard to figure out, okay, what we can do. But as we start, I feel like I just had to just start. I just had to just start
Yeah.
and then to see how things go. And then we had to pivot. So like, for example, when we first started in our house, there was, we wanted, my husband wanted some privacy. He's like, I don't want to feel like I have to be super quiet and people walk in our house. So we end up putting like a curtain in between this wall where people walked into our house and then they would go downstairs into our basement. That's where the shop was. And that separated the living space of the other part of the house. So we did that for a while, but yeah, it was definitely like trial and error and figuring out what works best for us. And that's it's been, a 5.5 year journey where we from there. And then back in 2020, we when I first started the shop, the house was getting too small.
Yeah.
Bras were everywhere and it was just getting really intrusive. That's when we knew the shop I think this had been almost 3 years since I started it, and the shop was overtaking our basement, my husband's office. I had employees doing shipping fulfillment in my garage, and it was just taking over our house. And that's when we knew that it was time to move into a larger home. So in 2020, we moved into our larger home, and the whole basement, we have the whole basement just dedicated to the shop. We actually built a separate entrance into our home so that people can come in and out of the shop and that they don't have to walk through my house. And that has been really good for my mental health and just for the sanity of my family and having more privacy and separation between business and our personal life. So currently it's in my house, my home still, but we are planning on moving out of the house this next year. So I'm really excited about having that ability to grow and expand, but also having that more separation from family and work life.
Yeah, I think that's really important and awesome that he was supportive and let you know what the boundaries were of I need to feel like there's privacy.
Yes.
And I don't think that any business with a couple and using home could work unless you had open communication and support.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that he was able to do that and that you could move into a new home and accommodate that. So talk to me about your growing pains or maybe a moment that you had that was like, wow, this is actually working. I know before we started this call, we talked about the growth of you bringing on new people. What point in the stage of growing your business did you and your husband think, wow, like this is a thing. This is working. This is growing. Let's keep going.
So I would say about a year into it, I realized that I was doing the fitting, shipping, fulfillment, emails, and it was just getting too much for me. So I hired my first employee, and she just helped do shipping and fulfillment. And she did that for about almost a year. And then after I had my third baby, I was out on maternity leave for about 6 weeks. And at that point, I was about 10 weeks booked out. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
I can't sustain, like, I can't do this myself. So I trained my one employee to fit people. So over the summer, the course of 3-4 months, I trained her how to fit people, and it just slowly grew from there. As we keep growing, I added up more people. Right now I have 5 employees. I have a girl that does all of our emails, shipping, fulfillment, customer service. And I have, I have 4 other fitters that do fittings in the shop, and they've all been trained by me. But the great thing is that we've been able to find some employees have a really special gift with. I have one employee who's really creative and loves to do like everything. Like, she's really crafty, and so she's been helping us, like, just making some really fun like boob crafts for the shop. And like, she made these cute boob pillows, and we're having a Christmas tree this year, and she made all these boob ornaments, and and I have another employee who's really creative about social media. So like, I just try to find people that actually all my employees are previous clients of mine, and I found that has been the most successful thing for me, is because they've come into the shop, they know what a difference it is to have a bra that fits them. And they have had that experience themselves. And so they're passionate about that too. Um, so hiring people who are passionate about the same thing has been probably one of the key things to having a successful business like mine, is just finding those people that are passionate about the same thing you are and want to share that with other people.
That's really good advice. I love that they're past clients of yours, so they believe your vision. You know
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
experience. They want to provide that for someone else. And I know from friends of mine that have gone, and mine, we're booking mine because I don't know
You need to
if
come in.
I
Yeah.
know we're booking it. I knew that I was going to be going through a process of getting a lift and having some tissue removed and fat put in. There are so many things that our bodies go through as women, whether you're
Mm-hmm.
getting implants, a fat transfer, a lift, or maybe you have really big boobs and you've never found a bra that actually supports and fits you. So I want you to talk a bit about that transformation and that care that you can give to people, because I think it's so cool that you can give an answer to someone who has felt desperate or who has felt bad about themselves. You know, if you have a bra that doesn't fit well, I think it affects so much of our persona of how we feel about ourselves inside and out.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what I do, is because bras that fit change women's lives instantly. It's not like a weight loss program where you have to like work really hard, for 6 to 8 weeks to start seeing changes. It's like immediate. And the thing is that what we try to do the shop, and we try to personify, is that we're all beautiful no matter what state of life we're in. Come as you are. I get a lot of women there that tell me, well, I need to lose 10 pounds before I can come in. I need to finish doing this before I can come in, or I need to finish breastfeeding. And I'm like, no, everybody deserves to wear things that fit their body now. And there's ways that you can um, there's ways that I'd advise, like how to go through the process of getting bras that fit as you transition to different sizes, or losing or weight, or weaning and that kind of stuff. But every woman deserves to feel comfortable in their body. And what bras do is that they take what you have and they make you look and feel better. And so we're very body positive space. And because of the the large selection that we carry in sizes, that reflects in the products that we carry. We have something for everybody. Everybody, from young girls who are 10, who are starting to develop, to, pregnancy, to nursing, to, sports bras, to when you're older and want something more comfortable. It's something that if you want something really sexy and beautiful. So we have something for everybody. And that's kind of what the mission of the shop is, we want everybody to feel comfortable and beautiful in their own skin.
Oh, I love that. That's such a gift. I mean, I have a daughter that's 11, and going through that process is tricky. And I feel like it's such a wonderful opportunity. So you offer virtual fittings as well. Is that something that was born due to the pandemic, or was that something that you already offered before that?
So when I first started the shop, we were just, we just had the in-person fittings, and I wanted a way to scale my business. And so one of the things that I wanted to be able to I wanted everybody to have access to professional bra help no matter where they lived. So with the help of some partners I had at the time, they helped me create a bra size calculator where we would actually take measurements from everybody that came in the shop and use it. We put those measurements in an algorithm that we had created, and that would tell them, based on their breast shape that they identify as, and then their measurements, it would tell them, based on the thousands of women we fit in the shop compared to your measurements and your breast shape, this is what size we recommend you trying or starting with. And then these are the brands and styles we recommend you wearing based on your breast shape. So that came out of the necessity of being able to scale my business and be able to reach more people. But it proved to be so important during the pandemic, because I had, we had to shut down for 6 weeks during the beginning of March 2020. And that helped keep our business keep going. And so I'm really grateful that we had that in place before that. And that's been a source of way for us to grow and reach more people and be able to access our services. But the good thing is that we're actually going to be hopefully by this winter we're going to be so that's our free online bra size calculator that we have. And once people order things from us, if they have questions, they can contact our customer service. But it's not virtual, like it's not like online, but we're going to start doing virtual fittings here this winter, where you actually can meet with one of our professional bra fitters. And if you want to pay for that service, that's another option that you can do. So you can come in the shop. We'll be able to do virtual if you want to meet face to face, over online or over Zoom. And then the other option is to do the free online bra size calculator. So I'm just finding that the more ways we can reach out and scale, the better more reach, more growth that we'll get.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, good on you for getting ahead of that curve that no one knew was coming. That's amazing that you had that in place. So with growth and growing that we're all doing, I am a huge advocate of, if you want your business to grow, you bring in other people and you take care of yourself mentally and physically. And that's something that we had talked about briefly before starting this episode, which is why I help match busy entrepreneurs with my virtual assistant graduates. And I'm curious, what is it now that you decided to take a bit of a step back this fall, because it's your slow period and you have some time to kind of breathe and recoup? What are some things that you've done to help take care of yourself?
I think I've said no to a lot of things I don't really say yes to. So every year I like to go present at this really fun women's expo. Every year, last 5 years I've done it. And this year I decided not to. And I've said no to a lot of things. But also I think for me, I've just been taking my physical health like the top priority. I've been walking my kids to school every morning. I've been trying to just fit in more exercise, activities I love to do, like going hiking and biking and that kind of stuff. Every day I try to make an effort to go to do something that brings me joy. So whether that's watching a show or I love to decorate and do things in my home. So that's going to Home Goods and looking for a pillow or just something that I normally don't have time to do, and focusing on that. Also, having connections, quality, strong connections with other people. So with friends, planning things with people I love. I've been able to travel a lot this fall, which we haven't been able to do as much as a family, which has been really, really fun. So just doing things that I love and focusing on relationships with my family and my spouse, and just because I feel like when you're so busy and growing, those things are the first things to go. You have to, you feel like you have to put your things that you like to do on the back burner. And then that's when you feel burned out and you feel like not inspired, and you don't feel like, you're just kind of going the ways of life. And so just living more intentionally and just putting the things that really matter, that bring you joy and happiness and long term, first. So that's been what I've been doing this fall. And it's been really nice to just focus on things that I put on the back burner a little bit too long.
Yeah. We were just discussing about this earlier, and there is a time, I think, especially in the first 1 to 3 years of starting any new business venture, it is very much about the go, 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 the hustle, hustle. And then it comes to a place where we have to take a break. We have to pause. We have to breathe. And one concept that I love that I have shared many times is that women are cyclical beings. We have times of pushing and times of rest. We were built that way, just like the seasons. The earth was built that way, just like the moon. We have to have time for rest. And I think that that's something that there is no need to feel shame or guilt for, that's something that is meant to be a part of who we are as a person, so that we can grow and that we can reflect and that we can remember what is the root cause of why we started in the first place. Because otherwise, I think we just get lost in it.
For sure. I love that.
Yeah. So I'm curious now, with what you've learned in the process of these 5 fast years, growing your business, building your family, what is advice that you would give to someone who is wanting to start a new business and balancing motherhood as well?
I would say have strong boundaries. For me, the other reasons why I started the shop in the house is because for me, I wanted to have more flexibility with being a mom and doing what I love. So for me, I knew that um, to be able to accomplish that, and then also to, um, this was also for financial reasons, but to I knew that starting a business can be stressful. And when you have stress, that can take a toll on your personal life, your family life, your marriage. And so I knew for me and my husband's, let me kind of backtrack. My husband is a lot different than me, quite opposite of me. He's a lot, not of a much of a risk taker. And so I knew that to be able to, to do this, I needed to take consideration what he felt comfortable with. Some people's spouses are like, oh, let's go for it. Let's 100% in. My husband was not as 100% in. And not that he didn't support me. It's just that he's a lot more not as a risk taker. And so for me to kind of ease him into like, this is what I want to do, the starting the house was a lot a better process for us than just like going 100 miles an hour into a brick and mortar store. So having, set expectations, I think talking about, feelings, how do you feel about this? This is what I want to do. So that's something would say. The other thing is have your kids involved as much as you can in it. So for me, my kids are 10. I have a 10-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old son, and a 3-year-old daughter. And I think because they've grown up all their lives with a bra shop in their house, it's really helped foster like a very open household where we talk about bodies. We talk about body parts a lot. And bras are just like a normal thing. It's like shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, and hopefully I think that, and so I also try to have my kids sometimes want to help with certain things like putting bras away. And so I try to, if they want to help, then I let them help. My son one day, or this was a couple of days ago, said to me, he's like, Mom, when I turn 16, I think I would like to work at the shop. I'm like, okay, like, what would you want to do? And he's like, well, maybe I could like ride my bike from school and I could come and I could like help clean and, help, clean the bathrooms. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, so, I just try to, we just are really open about that kind of stuff and, try to have them as involved as we can. So that is also a good way to, I feel like, balance motherhood with a business. But like I said, I think the last thing is, there's gonna be times where you're gonna feel guilty that you're like, I'm spending more time on my business than I am with my family. And that's gonna be normal. And there's gonna be hard things. There's gonna be times when you and your spouse are not gonna agree with how you should grow your business. I've had that recently. I've been wanting to grow my business in ways that my spouse doesn't feel comfortable with. And that's been really hard to have to navigate that. And so having a lot of conversations, having open communication has helped us to get through that. But I lost my train of thought. But I was gonna say the last thing I was gonna say is oh, I don't remember now. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just
you might have to edit this.
No, you're totally fine. You are totally fine.
I can't remember the last thing. It was actually pretty good, but I can't remember now. But let me just give me a second. Let me see if I can remember it.
Go ahead and take a minute. Hi, Eugene. He can edit it. He's here listening.
Hi. Any other advice? I would say if you're starting a business, use all the free resources that you can. So like look up in your state and see if they have a free business development center in your area, in your city. That has been immensely helpful. I mean, I know there's different ways you can get help and mentorship. But the way that I went about it was free. the person that's my mentor has had like 30 years of like retail and like owning business experience. So they're like real business owners, and it connects you with other business owners who are small business owners. And so just having a network of people that can help you if you have questions is really helpful. And then I guess the last thing I would say is don't do what I do and don't try to do your taxes and your payroll by yourself. Just hire somebody to do it. Or just use a payroll service. It will save you so much money if you just have somebody else do it for you than try to do it yourself.
Yes. Amen and amen. No, that is such good advice. Such good advice. Honestly, that's something that as I've been so spoiled to have, because my husband's a CPA and an accountant, and I take that for granted because my brain does not work that way. And I will tell you that as entrepreneurs, if you're listening to this, you have a business, you're thinking about doing a business, typically entrepreneurial type minds do not have the same capacity as people who are not entrepreneurial, because we think of the big vision. We have big ideas. We want to do really creative, exciting things, and sitting down with numbers and crunching things and looking at spreadsheets is not an idea of a good time. Like that is just not. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. No, my husband's an engineer, a computer engineer. So he's very analytical. So it's been really nice to like, and I'm the very opposite. I'm more creative. And so it's nice to have somebody who's more analytical on my side. Like, hey, have you thought of this? No, I haven't actually even thought about that. So it's good to have a different perspective, even though some of the things he's, perspectives, I'm like, I don't want to hear that, but it's good to have, someone that you can talk to that has a different, thinks differently than you, because they give you a different perspective that you wouldn't think of.
Yeah. It makes me laugh because there's a TikTok going around that it's an audio that it says, what happens is someone who is interesting marries someone, or someone who is crazy marries someone who is boring, and they get married, and I think that opposites attract that way. They do. And what is really good is that makes you a great team as a partnership. Yeah. They do tell you things you don't want to hear a lot of times. I know I've been in that scenario where I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't want to hear that. Or I've had many times where my spouse has said, you're pushing too hard. You need to slow down. Yeah. And that can make me really mad sometimes, but it's good to have someone like that in your corner because they love you and they care. So
yeah, for sure.
If you need someone on your team, which my guess is you do, find someone who can fill in those gaps that are not your genius. Yeah, for sure. That's what helps a business to grow.
For sure. For sure. Then one other thing I was going to say is one thing that I've learned through therapy and having a spouse that has been able to point this out. And, it's hard to admit this, but your success of your business does not define who you are. And that's been really hard for me because for a long time, I've always kind of tied my self-worth to how successful my business is. So if we're not doing well, if we have, customers that are upset or, whatever, that I really took that really personally. And so I've had to like untangle that thought process of my business equal, if it's successful, then I'm happy. And there's going to be times when things are, you're slow or you're down 20% or whatever. But that doesn't define who you are as a person. So having self-worth outside of your business too is really important to weather those storms.
Oh, I love that advice. I think that same train of thinking can go into the way that our children are behaving.
Yeah, for sure.
The way things are going in the house, or how clean our house is, or the way, how good of a cook we are that week. I mean, there are so many things that we can put stock in the value of who we are. And at the end of the day, your value is inherent and you have it because you exist. But it's so easy to get wrapped in that because we're used to we want the pat on the back. We want the accolade. We want to feel like we're having that success. So I really appreciate you saying that, because I think that that's the well-roundedness of the success of life, to know that it's not about what you do, it's about who you are. And
And one of the things for me is, defining what success means to you. I mean, for me, at first, when I first started it, when I started the shop my goal was to be able to afford to take my family on a fun trip every year. That was my goal every year, just once a year. And now that I've exceeded that, my goal has shifted. It's to teach my kids to work hard, that they can have passions and dreams, and they can accomplish anything that they want to. But also for me, it's to be able to help others. It really is like I would love it to get to a point where I can take all my loved ones on an amazing trip every year. That kind of like what Sarah Blakely does from Spain. She takes all her girlfriends on an amazing like 7 day or 14 day trip every year. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but just like sharing, being generous has been a really huge thing for me. Whether that's with my employees, paying my employees well, and just being generous to other. And I find generosity for me is a way to give back. So I try to show generosity in the way we interact with people. We try to have like a really, for example, we have a really flexible return exchange policy. We understand people are busy, life gets hectic. People can't come in as soon as they can. And so we try to be really generous. We try to be understanding, and just kind of spreading that goodness, because I feel like when you're generous, that comes back to you with more loyal customers, just happier employees, and just an overall happier place to work at. So to me, generosity, being able to be more generous, is a way for me to feel successful, or feeling like I'm successful.
I love that. Very, very good. Figure out what success looks like for you right now and take the steps that you need to get there, because success is defined differently by everyone. And I think really getting to that root of what is it that success looks like for me right now, and reevaluating that. I love that you said that it can change, and that's perfectly fine. Well, I'm really proud of you. I think that you are doing amazing work. You are helping women feel empowered and beautiful and capable. And I think that is such an incredible service. So thank you so much for being on the show today. Camille. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can go to our website. It's brafittingsbycourt.com. We're also on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and it's at Bra Fittings by Court. And you can find us all there. We're always on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you could please do me a favor and leave a rating and review where you are listening to this podcast. It is one of the best things to help the show grow, as well as sharing it with a friend. Here's the thing. Every time I share a story about a small business, it not only helps this podcast to grow, but those small businesses to grow as well. If you have a story that you think that our audience would love to hear, let me know. Reach out to me on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast or at CamilleWalker.co. I love hearing your stories. I love sharing your stories. And if you are feeling burnout and need a virtual assistant, let me help you. That is something that I have been able to change many lives by helping them get connected with graduates of my 60 Days to VA program. And I would love to help you too. Listen, you are not made to burn out. You are made to thrive and to be alive and enjoy your life, not only as a mother, but as a person. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week. Hey CEOs, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, please let me know in a comment and a 5-star review. You could have the chance of being a featured review on an upcoming episode. Continue the conversation on Instagram at Call Me CEO Podcast. And remember, you are the boss.